Hey Zalivas, this is SuperZombGBBQ, and today we're talking about something that has just been revealed to me, and something that's been leaked through, it seems like an error on someone's SuperCard. They've got access to something that they probably shouldn't have, and I'm talking about the Fusion Chamber. Now, Fusion Chamber, for anyone who doesn't know, from Season 1 was something that was liked by some and absolutely hated by others. Probably a bit more serious than Marmite, in the way that some people loved the idea of having this ability to obtain cards that were pretty much event breaking. They just made it pointless to go for event cards at the time because these were so much more powerful. However, the problem with fusions at the time is that getting the cards was difficult, took a lot of time, and also getting the cards were very difficult, unless of course you had quite a deep pocket. If you had a quite deep pocket, then you could get lots of fusion cards and basically completely rule the tier without almost any interference whatsoever. Let's go back to Season 1, just to explain for those who don't know what the Fusion Chamber was when it first came out. The way it worked is that you had to have a certain amount of cards, and you started off with common and you worked your way all the way up to Survivor, and then of course at the finale, which is quite controversial and does still hurt quite a few people now, WrestleMania fusions. Now, I'll explain why it kind of hurt people earlier on and why people were in uproar about it. And what basically you have here is a recipe, and you basically put in these cards, and for every tier apart from common, you put in a fusion card. Now that fusion card gives you the ability to then upgrade to another fusion card, and it works on a time basis. So you have a let's say a 4-day wait for a WrestleMania fusion. It actually was 5 days for WrestleMania fusions, and after that 5-day wait, you then could reveal your card, and bang, there you go, there's your WrestleMania fusion. Once you pro that card, it is head and shoulders above anything else that is available in that tier. So it pretty much is game breaking in that effect, in its end game for that tier. So that's why it came in at the end. Now, if you look at the Fusion Chamber for loyalty, you could take specific cards you'd earned in Season 1, transfer it across. But one thing I want to look at is the difference between that and Season 2 loyalty fusions and Season 1 fusions, where you could get a overpowered card, is looking at what you actually need to provide. And you see here, there's my John Cena and Paige I've got. I could put this in for an Ultra Enhancement, but technically I could actually go to a random fusion and put in as many cards as I wanted to get access to a loyalty fusion. And they definitely seem to have taken some inspiration from that idea and some of the feedback from the community. But this video I'm going to show to you now pretty much, although I don't like to say it, confirms that there is definitely going to be some kind of fusion chamber, which seems to be anyway, in Season 2, and it's quite different from the first. The first thing to show you is Philip, who I believe it is, who has gone onto his iPhone and he's showing me how SuperCard works on there, and you can't see anything. He goes onto his iPad and bang, the Fusion Chamber shows up. Now he's going to go onto his game now and show how it looks on the inside. He's going to go onto the Fusion Chamber. Now we're inside the Fusion Chamber. You will notice a couple of things that are slightly different. First of all, it works off of a points basis, not off of having certain cards on a recipe. He can't activate it, he can't use it. But if he goes into Fusion Chamber info, you can see first of all a Sheamus Legendary Fusion card first reveal, and of course you can then go downwards and you'll see that it has a couple of interesting bits and pieces we're going to cover off in a second, but basically explaining how the Fusion Chamber works. And obviously when he tries to tap it, it does say that it's out of date and he can't use it. But there were a couple of parts in there that were quite interesting I wanted to show you, and I have taken a couple of stills for you to look at. The first is this still here of showing that Sheamus card. Now this is one of the most important parts, other than one other bit I'm about to go through. I'm going to go to my card catalogue now. I'm going to go to Season 2 cards, go to Legendary, and I'm going to show you how it compares, because this is one of the biggest complaints, is that the Fusion Chamber would be ridiculously overpowered and the cards would kill any other cards. Well, actually I'm going to compare it against Alberto Del Rio, and as you can see, if you can look hard enough, Sheamus's power is 521. It loses to Alberto Del Rio in power. It beats him in toughness, 515. He loses to Alberto Del Rio in speed, and charisma. So actually, Alberto Del Rio actually kicks Sheamus in the nuts. Really isn't great viewing to see. So when you actually compare these against some of the legendary cards, and the stats for you, just for your knowledge from what I've seen, and obviously none of this is final, this could all potentially have been stuff they wanted to do, but have decided not to do it, because why would you allow people to go to WrestleMania Plus Plus? But this would also explain why WrestleMania Plus Plus has been so easily accessible. The cards are pretty much the same stats as the event cards in the game. And if we go to, let's say, Finn Balor, I'll just skip it there and I'll go to... let's go to Sting, for example. Sting beats him in 1, 2, and 3 stats again. So the cards aren't amazing, but let's be honest, there's going to be other fusion cards, and it's possible that the stats could change. But the way things are looking at the moment, based on what we've seen here, it seems that the cards are no longer the overpowered beasts they were, and they were actually the same, if not slightly. I mean, I calculated the stats, and overall, Sheamus is 1 point above Alberto Del Rio and Sting. So overall, actually, he is pretty much exactly the same, if not slightly better, than the event cards available in the game. The other thing that I thought was quite interesting to show you is this bit here. Now, again, you're going to have to squint or just go back to the video to see this. But let me just see if I can enlarge this for you. But you can see, if I get this enlarged, that there is, and I'll just see if I can take over the entire side of the screen, that you can see that there are no specific cards needed. So you can put in whatever you want into the Fusion Chamber to get a common, to get an epic, to get a legendary, potentially a WrestleMania, as long as it hits a certain points total. And that points total, it seems, is activated at the bottom, and you put in as many as you feel you need. So that would tend to say that unless they don't change that, save your pros, you're going to need them. But I would also say if you've got access to rare cards that you can pro up as well, that'd be good for the lower Fusion Chambers, if that's how it's going to work. Again, none of this is final. I've not had any contact with Cat Daddy through this. I specifically found this and dug into this myself, and I think so far this is perfect. This is absolutely spot on with how it needed to change to make it better. Now, there are going to be those who do worry, and I do agree with you that by having the ability to get access to fusion cards that effectively can break Road to Glory, break King of the Rings, until there are so many event cards that literally you cannot fit them into King of the Rings, that potentially causes an advantage. But that's going to happen to anyone. Technically, someone could just go and buy loads of packs. We've got some Stone Cold Steve Austin's, Rocks and Undertakers, and Raw WrestleMania tier anyway. Someone could get every single event card, and they're going to have that benefit anyway. What I think the Fusion Chamber is going to do is potentially create more choice over what you got access to, and potentially won't cost as much as the previous Fusion Chamber, because the cards aren't game breaking. The only thing they're going to be better than are potentially the event cards, but only slightly. So it means that there's no ridiculous situation where you had to, I mean, if I show you the event cards here, I mean, I've got my WrestleMania Andre the Giant Pro, which I did literally this week. In fact, literally yesterday I pro'd it up. Now, to be able to beat him in speed, my AJ Styles, or let's say an Edge or Rollins, would have to proc and potentially use a support at the same time, and hope that Andre the Giant or the person using it doesn't have a support, an enhancement, or something very, very, very similar to back it up. It's just one of those things that potentially shows that actually the lower cards are meant to be effectively supporting you in the early parts of the tier, but eventually fusion cards are going to come in which offer you a different dynamic and effectively do what I believe the throwback cards should have done, which give you a little bit of an advantage to make them more worth your time to use them and go to open the packs for them. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I personally think this is a fantastic addition to the game if this is coming. Of course, we don't know if this is all going to be correct, whether they're going to make changes to the game afterwards, but it seems definitely surprising that they would include it in the new update if it was something that wasn't going to come out. Whether that's just because of a mistake that someone in their head office has done, I don't know, but it's definitely interesting to see, and obviously we'll hear more details if it is coming out very, 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 very soon. Let me know what you think of things like the ability to put any card into it, for example. The fact that the event stats are going to be pretty much the same as these fusion cards, it seems, which is fantastic in my opinion. It means that this overall idea that the tier is going to be overrun by these overpowered cards is effectively nullified. For me, it's a great way of showing that they've listened to the community from the last time, plus the ability to put any card in as well. For me, this sounds fantastic. I cannot see them just forgetting. If we go to the team deck, I mean, Hell's Darkness at the moment, if we show here that coming soon barrier here, or this sort of thing that's covering it off, I would not be surprised in any way, shape or form if this was for a fusion card to go in there, or potentially a fusion support card as an example. Who knows? Again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. 5 things before you go. First of all, like the video and share it on with your friends, because obviously this is a big news, big reveal. Second thing is to subscribe to the channel for more WWE SuperCard and any other content as well. The third, fourth and fifth thing is to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and of course on Instagram, which is in the details in the description below. And as always, Zoliv!